Wednesday, August 4. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson. As Jamaica experiences a surge in COVID-19 cases, the Ministry of Health and Wellness is continuing its island-wide vaccination blitz for Jamaicans 18 years and older. The blitz, which is open to those eligible for first and second doses, started Saturday, July 31 and runs until Thursday, August 5. We get more from Carol Francis.
Up to Monday, August 2, the island had recorded 53,543 COVID-19 infections and 1,203 deaths. Hospitalizations continue to be on the rise, with some 210 confirmed cases in public health facilities. As it urges more Jamaicans to become vaccinated against COVID-19, the Ministry of Health and Wellness has also extended its operating hours at the National Arena in Kingston from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. during this week's Blitz. The extended opening hours are to facilitate more vaccine uptake, as the Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, called on employers to provide their workers with the opportunity to become vaccinated. The Ministry of Health and Wellness's website at www.moh.gov.jm or by calling the National Vaccination Hotline at 1-888-1-LOVE. That's 1-888-663-5683. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Carol Francis.
We now get the latest COVID-19 clinical management summary from the Health and Wellness Ministry.
In the clinical management summary for Tuesday, August 3, 96 new cases of COVID-19 were reported. This brings the total number of cases to 58,639, of which 4,968 are active. 4 deaths were also reported over the period, pushing the death toll to 1,207. In the parish breakdown, Kingston and St. Andrew led the way with 35 new cases, followed by St. James with 14 and St. Catherine 13. To date, there has been 47,101 recoveries, with 23 reported on Tuesday. At this time, there are 215 hospitalizations, with 52 of those patients showing moderate symptoms and 34 said to be critical. For the news on PBCJ, I am Melvin Pennant.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says he is proud of the fact that his administration has been able to implement the new social pension program in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. He was speaking at the program's recent launch at the office of the Prime Minister.
Now, underpinning the social protection strategy is the concept of a social protection floor, a foundation for basic income security, which recognizes that the government has a moral and social obligation to guarantee social protection for all our citizens. That's a very profound statement. It's very important that it be said because Jamaica is on a pathway of recovery from the pandemic. Jamaica is on a pathway to growth. And it has not always been the case that as we recover and as we grow, the dividends of the sacrifice for recovery and growth is properly shared.
Mr. Holness said the introduction of the new social pension program will enable the country to reduce income inequality and promote a better quality of life for vulnerable persons 75 years and older.
Indeed, as we move into the Emancipation period and we reflect on our history, I'm sure it is a common consensus that the society as a whole has not necessarily treated fairly or ensured fair and equitable distribution of endowments, which is the underpinning of much of our social problems. This government recognizes that. This government takes that point of view seriously. We recognize it in securing the rights of the individual and guaranteeing the rights of every citizen. And we also recognize it in guaranteeing and recognizing the economic rights of every citizen. We obviously will not be able to do it all at once. We won't be able to provide that minimum floor for everyone all at once. But it is important that that statement be made, that we recognize that we have that moral and social obligation, and we are starting to do it, if even incrementally. And you would have seen that principle being played out during the pandemic, where whatever savings we had from the fiscal discipline and the sacrifice of labor and capital, we used it in such a way as to spread it widely across the society, and in particular to direct it to the vulnerable and the indigent. You saw that in the CARE program. You saw that in our SERVE program. And you're seeing it now in our new social pension program, where we are targeting those persons 75 years and older.
We now get the latest market summary in this quick business report. Over 7,000 hotel rooms are coming on stream. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says Jamaica's investment climate remains positive despite the sector being impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. Mr. Bartlett said the level of multi-billion-dollar investment projects that are now underway or programmed for implementation over the next 2 years is a vote of confidence from investors. The Jamaica Information Service notes that the tourism minister was speaking recently with representatives of the Caribbean Alternative Investment Association. He said that among the projects completed in 2020 or are nearing completion are the development of the Chukka Ocean Outpost in Sandy Bay, Hanover at a cost of $3 million, refurbishing of overwater bungalows by Sandals, and refurbishing of the Rio Hotel in Montego Bay. Minister Bartlett also noted that the construction of 400 additional rooms at Oceans by H10 in Trelawney is nearing completion, while ground was broken for the $2 million Red Stripe Experience Museum at Rick's Cafe in Negril. Projects slated for implementation between 2021 to 2023 include the construction of 2,000 rooms by Princess Hotels in Negril, 1,700 rooms at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in St. James, 950 rooms at Sandals, Negril, Ocho Rios, and Montego Bay, 700 rooms at Secrets in St. Anne, 12 additional luxury rooms at Oyster Bay in Trelawney, 300 new rooms at the Wyndham New Kingston Hotel, 168 new rooms at the Rock Hotel, 30 rooms at the Terra Nova All Suite Hotel in St. Andrew, 150 rooms at Palm Beach Runaway Bay St. Anne, 60 rooms at Hotel Grande View in Montego Bay, and Phase 2 development of 444 additional rooms at Oceans by H10. The tourism minister said that these strategic public-private investment partnerships will be crucial to the tourism industry's economic recovery from the effects of COVID-19. The meeting with key Carrera stakeholders was aimed at discussing the creation of an enabling environment to foster investments, leading to the growth of small and medium-sized tourism enterprises. In Tuesday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index declined by 2,155 points to close at over 423,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 95 stocks, of which 33 advanced, 45 declined, and 17 traded firm. The Junior Market Index declined by 3 points to close at over 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica, CAC 2000 Limited, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited. Stocks declined for AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Caribbean Cream Limited. Trading firm were Berger Paints Jamaica Limited, Blue Power Group Limited, and CAC 2000 9.5% preference shares. Lumber Depot Limited was the volume leader with over 9.6 million units, followed by Derrimon Trading Company Limited with over 1.7 million units and Trans Jamaican Highway Limited with over 1.5 million units. In foreign exchange trading for Tuesday, August 3, the US dollar sold for an average $155.19. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $124.38. The pound sterling traded for $215.69, and the euro sold for an average $186.07. In market data for oil, prices slipped on Wednesday as the spread of the coronavirus Delta variant in top consuming countries outweighed Midwest geopolitical tensions and a fall in U.S. inventories. Brent crude futures decreased to 26 cents to settle at $72.15 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude fell 42 cents to settle at $70.14 a barrel. When there's a missing tooth in the mouth, can it affect you? Find out in this episode of Living Healthy with Dr. Heather Dawn Lawson-Myers of Ligony Family Dental.
Today we're in the beautiful mountains of St. Andrew, which is just on the outskirts of Kingston, Jamaica. We're going to be talking about bridging the gap. This riverbed looks very different than the last time I saw it. And chances are, if I come again in the future, it's going to look different again. As the water moves, as long as there's space, there are going to be changes. Not the same thing, but there are actually changes in our mouths too when space is created. Sometimes you lose a tooth in the back, you don't think much about it because it's not really showing. If you can chew your food properly, it's not a problem. The challenge is, though, over time, all the other teeth shift. The teeth in the space behind tend to drift and tilt forward. The teeth in front of the space tend to rotate and drift back. If you're missing a tooth on the top, the bottom ones grow up, and vice versa if the space is on the bottom. Your bite changes totally. Now that can affect the health of the tooth. Why? Because your teeth were designed in such a way that when you're chewing, the top teeth standing directly above the bottom teeth push the forces straight through the center, the long axis. When the tooth is tilted, it's different. You have a lot of force banging on the side of the tooth. And ultimately, that tooth could be lost prematurely because of unhealthy forces. But there's a way to get around that. And I'm going to give you a hint. Can you see what's behind me? It's a bridge. It has two pillars and a connection. Well, a dental bridge is made up in very much the same way. The two pillars are coverings on the front and the tooth behind the space, and those two coverings are connected by a replacement tooth or teeth, depending on how wide that space is. A dental bridge is one appliance, but it actually looks like individual teeth standing side by side. So someone looking at your smile would not be able to tell that you're actually wearing an appliance. It ensures that your teeth function the way they should as you chew your food. It enhances your smile. It supports your cheek muscles, and it makes you look younger. So you see, a dental bridge is an excellent way to fill that space, to close the gap, to ensure that you can chew your food properly, that your smile is maintained because your muscles are well supported, and you actually look younger. Listen, see you next time on Facebook, YouTube, on Instagram.
Here are some of the stories making headlines across the region. In the Bahamas, following weeks of delays, the government received more than 33,000 doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine Tuesday morning, ending a critical shortage of vaccines in the country. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis says the government is preparing to launch the biggest vaccination campaign to date. Jasmine Brown tells us more.
The long-awaited delivery of COVID-19 vaccines arriving in country around mid-morning.
We will launch one of the largest and greatest vaccination programs within our community ever seen to vaccinate as many people as possible. And I've had discussion with my cabinet and gotten agreement from my cabinet colleagues that I, as a medical doctor, will volunteer my services with the other medical colleagues to assist in the vaccination of the Bahamian populace throughout our country.
Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announced that vaccinations will resume on Thursday on New Providence at Loyola Hall for first and second doses and at 3 additional sites next week.
On Monday, the 9th of August, the Church of God of Prophecy on East Street site will likewise be opened. And this will be followed by the Bahamas Convention Center on Tuesday, the 10th of August, followed by the St. Anselm Church Hall on Wednesday, the 11th of August. By next week, Wednesday, all of these sites, for a total of 4 vaccination centers, will be operating on New Providence to administer first and second doses of the vaccine.
Today's delivery represents the third tranche of prepaid doses the country has received through the COVAX facility. Minnis said the government will send 5,000 doses to Antigua and Barbuda, which gave the Bahamas 5,000 doses in June in an exchange program. In the last several weeks, frustration grew as the Bahamas vaccine supply dried up. Minnis encouraged Bahamians to book their appointments immediately. As it relates to vaccinations on the Family Islands, which have come to a standstill,
health officials and volunteers are currently working on a schedule to continue vaccinations on the Family Islands. And more information will be announced on this phase of the rollout.
Now that those vaccines are in country, the Prime Minister, like always, continued to push for residents to get vaccinated, as he says it's part of the cure for the COVID-19 pandemic. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
In St. Lucia, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre wasted no time in rolling back some of the controversial decisions taken by his predecessor in an attempt at restoring national pride. He has announced significant changes to future observances of Emancipation Day in St. Lucia. Pierre, during an address to the nation on Sunday, outlined plans to ensure that St. Lucia's patrimony is in focus. This includes the reinstatement of the state-backed subvention for the beleaguered National Trust. More details in this report.
In his Emancipation address to the nation broadcast Sunday, Prime Minister Philip Joseph Pierre signaled a clear departure from the past for the future observance of what he describes as one of the most significant days on the calendar. Simply the commemoration of the emancipation of the slaves on the 1st of August 1838 will be given far greater significance.
I believe that in the past, the commemoration of this momentous event has not received the importance that it deserves, and for many, Emancipation Day has just been another holiday in St. Lucia, and not a day of reflection to the true meaning of the occasion. In our country, there are a few organizations like ICA who over the years have consistently observed this anniversary. Today, I salute them. This message today from me as Prime Minister is a signal that from now, this government will make the 1st of August a major event in our national calendar. Our self-esteem, our dignity, our respect for the lives and struggles of our forefathers demand this of us. For while slavery was abolished in St. Lucia and other British territories, 183 years ago, the mindset and racial attitudes that brought African people to the Caribbean and the Americas as slaves still lingers.
The Prime Minister used the Emancipation Day address to announce the reinstatement of the subvention for the St. Lucia National Trust, all in keeping, he says, with the mandate to pay greater regard to the preservation and promotion of St. Lucia's patrimony.
The government of St. Lucia will immediately reinstate the government subvention to the St. Lucia National Trust. Our government will also lend full support to the Caribbean Reparation Commission in its efforts to obtain reparation justice from our former European colonial powers. The commemoration of emancipation will not, however, be confined to giving greater recognition to the 1st August. It has to be a continuous process of continuous education, and so this government will take steps to ensure that the African, Caribbean, and St. Lucian history is taught at all levels of our schools. We'll also examine the possibility of making Creole an official language of our country. My dear citizens of St. Lucia, you opened a new dawn in the governance of our country when you elected the St. Lucia Labour Party just 1 week before this anniversary of Emancipation Day. We pledge to fight against the mental, economic, and social attitudes that reminds us of the terrible days of slavery and fight for a truly democratic society and equal opportunity for all.
Prime Minister Pierre stated that his government will seek to promote St. Lucia's heritage through education.
The commemoration tells us that the resistance has not ended, and we must power the development of our country through education, commitment, discipline, hard work, and the determination to succeed. This was the heritage they left us, and this is a heritage we must preserve and protect. As we recognize this occasion, we are also to remind ourselves that we have to fight against attitudes that belittle our patrimony and cultural heritage whenever and wherever they exist. As one people, we are to respect our patrimony and observe our cultural heritage.
This was a clear indication of the Philip J. Pierre-led administration's plans to cut its own path for the protection and promotion of St. Lucia's heritage, in an effort to build a more confident citizenry with the ideals of equality, justice, and dignity at the center of the new vision for St. Lucia. Stanley Lucian for the HCS News Force.
Breastfeeding is everyone's business. That's according to the Breastfeeding Association of Trinidad and Tobago. One of the association's breastfeeding counselors, Amy Bartholomew, said oftentimes people think it's solely about the mother and baby. But for this year's World Breastfeeding Week, the World Alliance for Breastfeeding Action wants to remind the world that this is not the case. The theme for 2021 is Protect Breastfeeding, a Shared Responsibility. Mahalia Joseph Warden has more.
Alliance for Breastfeeding Action's goal for Breastfeeding Awareness Week is to highlight the importance of breastfeeding, to encourage and promote breastfeeding, and to improve the health of babies and mothers all around the globe. Breastfeeding Counsellor Justine Vincente says the theme is fitting for 2021.
WABA always seems to hit the nail on the head with regards to the theme that they choose each year. And I think it's no different. It's no different this year. The fact that they've managed to hone in on a shared responsibility is something that, as the Breastfeeding Association of Trinidad and Tobago, we encourage all the time, because it does take a village. You know, it takes your own little village to help you breastfeed and to raise your child.
And if your village doesn't give you all the support you need, bodies like the Breastfeeding Association are there to offer help. Another breastfeeding counselor, Amy Bartholomew, says they urge mothers not to wait until there's a problem to reach out for help.
Our services are free, and we have breastfeeding counselors all over Trinidad and in Tobago. So we encourage moms, even when they're pregnant, to call us. You know, make that connection with a breastfeeding counselor early on, and so that we can discuss, you know, what needs to be done in preparation for breastfeeding.
Ms. Bartholomew says once families get enough information on the importance of breastfeeding, many of them stay on the breastfeeding journey.
Usually, if they are given the right information about breastfeeding, they do make that decision to breastfeed. For many reasons, because of all the benefits, and they're not just benefits to babies, they're benefits to mothers too, benefits to the environment, benefits to employees and employers in the workplace, because babies are not sick as often, and so there's less absenteeism.
World Breastfeeding Week aims to highlight the benefits that breastfeeding can bring to the health and welfare of babies and benefits to maternal health, focusing on good nutrition, poverty reduction, and food security. Mahalia Joseph Wharton, TTT News.
And in sports, we get a roundup of today's activity from the Tokyo Olympics from our very own Melvin Pennant.
Jamaica's Rasheed Dwyer finished 7th in the men's 200-meter finals at the Tokyo Olympics on Wednesday. Canadian Andre DeGrasse won the title with a national record of 19.62 seconds, which betters the 19.73 seconds he ran in the semifinals. American Kenny Bednarik took the silver medal in a personal best of 19.68 seconds, followed by the world champion Noah Lyles, who was third with a season best equaling 19.74 seconds. Dwyer clocked 20.21 seconds after being the only male sprint finalist from Jamaica. Just 2 Jamaicans took part in the 200-meter, with Julian Ford failing to get past the first round, while Johan Blake had withdrawn from the championships due to injury. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Melvin Pennant.
In cricket, host West Indies surrendered the T20 International Cricket Series to Pakistan after the fourth and final match was abandoned due to rain at the Guyana National Stadium. The second straight washout meant the regional side lost the series 1-0. This after Pakistan won the second match by 7 runs. Over now to football. National winger Leon Bailey has made the move to the English Premier League. The 23-year-old signed his contract with Aston Villa on Tuesday night at the headquarters of the Phoenix All-Stars Academy in Kingston, officially ending his 5-year stay with German club Bayer Leverkusen. Aston Villa reportedly paid £30 million for the player. And that's the news. On behalf of our entire production team, thanks for watching. This is PBCJ, the People's Station.